Ladies and gentlemen, it's Inside the IFL, episode 35. And as always, I'm joined by Mr. Ed Ritter.
What it is.
So how are you excited or not excited about today?
Oh, I'm very excited.
Yeah. Wow. I have no idea what the hell that sound came out of nowhere.
That was cool.
That almost sounded like it greeted us as we got on the line.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. My cell phone went off giving me the alert that the show just went live.
There we go.
Yes, I'm subscribed from my phone just in case Mr. Davis happens to get on and do anything. So we got Alex Starr, Mr. Chris Davis himself, Matthew Soper, Mr. Mark Chisholm. Damn, almost lost my voice there. Cody Ewing. All these guys are currently up in the chat room. I want to thank you guys for being here on this early Friday afternoon.
Yep, sucks. Ain't going to a football game tonight. well.
I know you love your high school football, but this is IFL football.
Yes, I do.
And this is better. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you say so, but yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. TJ Johnson's in the chat room says I have to leave in 10 minutes. Talk fast, LOL. So since Mr. TJ Johnson's in the chat room, I want to address something as far as Mr. Johnson goes. So I'm sure Ed wants to thank him as much as I do. We appreciate his efforts that he's brought to the league and the things that he's done for this league. He's pretty much bent over backwards to help me out a lot. That being said, I will post an image of this later, but Mr. Johnson has stepped up this morning, whatever you want to call it, and has told me straight up, take a look at this trophy. Pictures aren't doing it justice, but hey, I want to send this trophy to whoever wins the Season 2 championship. All we got to do is get their address and ship it out. So whoever wins the IFL championship in Season 2 will be awarded an actual trophy thanks to Mr. TJ Johnson, who is the owner of the Baltimore Bulls.
That's awesome.
There's only, and I didn't get to tell him that, but I do have one rule with the trophy, and that is if he himself wins the championship, he has to take it to the post office and send it to himself. So I want to throw it out there.
What the hell?
And as funny as that man is,
only you.
I wouldn't put it past him to go do it just because I said it.
Only you would tell somebody that.
Yeah.
Since you're shipping it out, if you win it, you got to ship it to yourself.
That's right. So the Bulls win the title, he's got to send it to himself. He said, LOL, he'll send it to Mighty.
There you go. That's cool.
There you go. Oh, man. So I do want to thank him for that. Yes. So the IFL, ladies and gentlemen, will have a championship trophy for its winner, which is part of the breaking news today. And as you all know, we're about to announce new owners to the league, new teams, expanding from 8 to 16 teams. So it's been going to be an exciting time. Now, Ed, you know the one piece of business I want to discuss as far as the makeup of the league. Shall we announce that first, or should we announce the teams first?
Probably better to announce the new owners and the teams first, and then go into how the divisions are going to break down and how it's going to all that stuff.
Okay. And what about the IFL name itself?
Well, let's go. Yeah, we can go ahead and do that first. We'll go. Yeah.
Right.
Go with the name thing, and then we'll go teams, divisions. Yeah. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Right. Well, Ed and I have been talking about it for I don't know how long. We do the best we can to make the league as professional as possible, to make it as realistic as possible. Again, we don't have the glitz and the glamour with graphics, but we try to do our best with rules, the way we act, the way we treat the league, and things like that. So it was funny when it was actually presented to us by Mr. TJ again. the name Internet Football League just didn't seem to sound realistic enough. So
Right.
as of this moment, the IFL is no more. The Internet Football League is dead as of this moment. And replacing the IFL will be the IFL, because we will now be known as the International Football League. Graphics will stay the same. We're just going to edit internet with international. Plus, with the growing members, with like a gentleman like Mr. Lynn Ramos, who's in the league, represents Mexico, but has placed his team in Tokyo. Expansion can always lead to different areas with around the globe. And it just gives it a more professional / realistic feel, if you will. I'm sure you agree with all that, Ed.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
So, no more Internet Football League. The International Football League is here. Thanks to TJ, I have that graphic ready. I'll post it up then. And like I said, you see the current logo. If you're watching the stream now, the podcast, you see the logo right there on the screen. It says Internet Football League. It's exactly the same. It's just replaced with international. So, yeah, that's part of the nice breaking news that we had to share today.
We're gonna. I shouldn't do this as it's the IFL, but I'm doing it anyway.
Okay.
Since we're doing breaking news and all this other stuff.
Oh boy.
This happens to do with the NFL. I just got an alert on from NFL Mobile.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Going to fire their offensive coordinator.
Might want to repeat that so people can hear you.
The Cincinnati Bengals are going to fire their offensive coordinator after 2 losses. He's out.
Ken Zampese. Yeah. Well, let's just keep the NFL news going. The Colts will start Jacoby Brissett against the Cardinals. Donald Penn agreed to a 2-year, $21 million extension with the Raiders. Donnell Humphreys tore his hamstring. We can go on and on, but we'll get this back to the internet.
Back to that.
Dead International Football League.
The International Football League, the IFL.
That's right.
So this is technically, show 35 of the IFL or show number 1, depending on how you look at it.
35. All right. I'm not going to announce which new owners scored the most points or didn't score the most points. It's all irrelevant. I took the time to randomly draw names and put them in a random order and what have you, just to announce who the owners are and which way they're going to come across. And we're going to announce a lot of things here just in this show. So the one thing I want to announce, the draft picks, I'll announce here as well. But the reason why I touch on draft picks is because I have to mention something that involves draft picks. Earlier this week, we saw a trade in the IFL between the New York Cobras and the Tokyo Kitsune. Everybody paid attention to the league this year knows that the Cobras had a more devastating season, a worse record, we'll say that, put it bluntly, than Tokyo. So they're going to have a higher pick in the rookie draft. These two teams have traded their first-round picks. So Tokyo is moving up and New York's moving down. And as a result, New York is acquiring cornerback CJ Coates from the Kitsune. So, why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. I have to laugh.
Okay.
Because anybody that has been around us, the history between your brother and CJ when it comes to fantasy leagues and other stuff, and now they're going to be together on the same team. That's just
it's been a long-standing joke between the two of them. It's rather entertaining when those two get together. So if we can get Mr. CJ to finally get himself on Slack. I'm about to put his phone number on the air right now so people can call him and say, "Get your ass on Slack." I think he might be able to do that soon because I think he's just upgraded some of his equipment. I'm going to have to ask him. I'll give him that call today. I don't know. Maybe I'll send TJ to his house. They both live in the Baltimore area. TJ can go over with that trophy and hop him upside the head with it.
Tell him dress up in a suit, look all official, and then mess with him.
Yeah. So I'm gonna see if we get no comments in the chat, gentlemen. Keep the chat comments going. All right, we might as well get into these teams. So we're just gonna, like I said, I drew them at random to know which one I was going to announce first and how I was going to do it. And so here we go. And then everybody can get a little excited for this. All right, first team we're going to announce will be owned by Mr. DW6 Killer. And he will be representing the Atlanta Rhinos. And I have to say this about Mr. Six Killer. As I call him, Bryce. That's his real name. He has been very active as of recent, doing his part to get involved to earn this team. And I know he's very excited. Him and his dad, who's actually Charlie Monk in the league, they were talking about the possibility of getting a team together. Didn't happen. But your thoughts on Mr. DW6 Killer and the Atlanta Rhinos?
Interesting name.
Yeah, indeed.
Very interesting.
I do want to say this because I did forget to mention it. I have to mention this. Everybody's aware of the Carolina Pack situation. I want to mention it now. I went to Mr. Matthew Sober, who some people suggested maybe give him the team because he was going to be co-owner. Matt was like, nah, I didn't earn that team. I don't deserve that team. There's other people in this league who are going to earn teams. I want to also have that opportunity. I have no interest in the team. Therefore, the Carolina Pack will be folded, non-existent in the league, one and done. And as a result, 9 people are going to be getting teams here today, 9 expansion teams. So the original 8 teams are now down to 7, and 9 new teams are entering the league. And we just announced the first one with the Atlanta Rhinos and Mr. DW6 Killer. And I see Mr. Mark Chisholm was like, let's go. And I'm sure it had something to do with that term, Atlanta.
I'll just say, okay. On to the next one.
On to the next one. And it was ironic enough that this name was pulled next. But the next team will be owned by Mr. Charlie Monk, who was the father of Mr. DW6 Killer. And his team will be the Dallas Wranglers. So we're going to have the Atlanta Rhinos and the Dallas Wranglers, a father and son duo who planned on joining the league together as owners, instead get their own teams. And a lot of that was a result of Mr. Drum's departure from the league. So, thoughts on Mr. Monk and the Dallas Wranglers?
Honestly, I'm very interested to see what both of them do.
Yeah.
You know, how they set up their team, who they go after. It's going to be very interesting because, like you said, we both knew they wanted to be owners together,
right?
And then I think at some point they hit us up and says, you know what? Screw that. We want to face each other. So we're going to try to get our own teams. And they did what they had to do, and they got their own teams.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun with the two of them. They've been trying to get more and more active and more involved, and I think this will just put them that much more involved, which will be good to see. All right, moving on to the third team. The third team will be owned by the Capone triplets. Be the 3 of them owning this team, working together, and they will be running the Chicago Assassins. And you and I discussed this when we realized they were going to have the team, and this is what they were going to call them. They're really feeding off this Capone thing. The whole Chicago St. Valentine's Day Massacre, assassins and the killer thing and murdering. And I'm going to share it now, and I'll get into it later. But the Chicago Assassins, their colors are the same colors as the Italian flag. Still feeding off the whole Italian mafia thing, which is just the most funniest thing. It's great that they're just really digging in deep with this. So your thoughts on the Capones?
Going to be very interesting.
These are some wild.
We all know how we all know how they are during games and during where some of the stuff comes out of their mouths when that they post. So, what are they going to do now that they're owners?
Cody says it should be the Chicago Hitmen. Now that he mentions that here in chat, if they see or hear that and watch them message me, be like, can we change the name? And quite frankly, until I put it in the editor, I'm okay with maybe a slight edit here and there with these things. So I'm good with it. So Capone's, if you listen, Cody Ewing just said Chicago Hitmen would be so much better than the Chicago Assassins. So there we go. All right, that's 3 of 9. Moving on to the 4th team. The 4th team will be owned and operated by my son, Marcus Bose. And he has decided to go with the San Diego Bulldogs. And I have to say this to you, Ed. He went with the whole Bulldogs thing. And it had a lot to do with when you took over the San Francisco Bulldogs in the SFL, and then that team basically became the LA Sharks, and it was kind of play homage to where we came from. That's why he went with the whole Bulldog name.
That's awesome.
So that's where that comes from, and that's where that's at. So
that's very cool.
As I asked him, why not? I asked a lot of these guys where the names come from, where they came up with it. And quite frankly, I got a lot of the same answers, and I can share this with everybody. I just like that logo. So they fed off the logo. In his particular case, he wanted to feed off where we started, kind of take it full circle kind of thing. So I thought that was kind of cool. So San Diego Bulldogs being run by Mr. Marcus Bose. All right, moving on to the 5th team. The 5th team will be owned and operated by Mr. Maurice Spurgeon. And Mr. Maurice Spurgeon has decided to take his team to Nashville, where they're going to be known as the Nightmares. And I'll say this, of the teams and the logos and the colors, he has one of the more intriguing color concepts of the teams that came in the league, and I'm kind of digging it. So I'm excited for people to see it. So your thoughts on Mr. Spurgeon?
It's the same thing. Basically, my thoughts are this. It's going to be interesting to see what all these guys do. Yeah. What they do as far as hiring coaches, not hiring coaches, how they set their team up, it's going to be very cool.
Right. Yeah, and we'll get into the whole hiring coaches thing as soon as we go through the teams, because I got to make sure these new owners, current owners, understand the situation. So just a quick recap: Dallas Wranglers, Charlie Monk; Atlanta Rhinos, DW6 Killer; Chicago Bulldogs, Marcus Bose; Chicago Assassins.
San Diego Bulldogs.
Yeah, San Diego Bulldogs. See, I'm thinking of the past. I just talked about Chicago Assassins, the Capones, and the Nashville Nightmares, Mr. Maurice Spurgeon. That brings us now to the final 4 people who got teams. And the next one in line, we're crossing borders again. We're going outside the United States, just like Tokyo, and we're entering the area of Canada, and it will be the Winnipeg Crusaders, owned by Mr. Matt Soper, who indeed did enough to get his own team. And you got real quiet.
I'll write stuff down.
Okay. So, yeah, Winnipeg Crusaders, Matt Soper. I know Matt's in the chat, so I'm sure he's excited to hear it, just like Marie showed up just as we announced him as an owner. So, congratulations to all these guys. Yes, yes, yes. He just channeled his inner Daniel Bryan with that one.
I like it.
Although, I shall say it right, the Diego Sanchez. He channeled his inner Diego Sanchez, for those of you unaware. If you watch wrestling, Daniel Bryan always did the yes, yes, yes chant. The originator of the yes, yes, yes chant is Diego Sanchez from the UFC. Daniel Bryan has even acknowledged that. So,
very cool.
3 teams left.
All right.
3 teams left. All right.
Next one on the list.
Next one on the list. We're going to that cold land of Green Bay as Mr. Thomas W. Goodhart 80 will be fielding the Green Bay Grizzlies. So he's currently a gold tight end with Tampa Bay. I know Tom very well. He's an odd bird. I say that with all love and in term of endearment, if you will. His team is probably going to be insane. Murray's saying he can't hear anything. I'm assuming Soper can hear things because he responded to what we just discussed. So if anybody else can't hear this, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going to post right now. Oh. Yeah, I have the volume turned up. I can hear us. Can you hear us?
Yep. Yeah, everybody else says they can hear us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to put that up. Yeah, refresh it. Maybe, yeah. That'll help him. That sucks.
All right, let's get to these last two.
All right, the last two teams. Veterans, if you will. And they will be coming to us from the Motor City, the Detroit Hawks. And Mr. Alex Dar will be the owner. I'm excited for Alex. To be honest, what do you think about that? You know, because here's a kid who honestly never got his just due from others, has had his issues and gets out of line sometimes, but at the end of the day, he's got a big heart. He's always got the, what's what I'm looking for? He's always trying to make the positive of things. He's always got good intentions. Just to see him get his own team, have something to build, something to create, and see where his mind goes. Because, quite frankly, when him and I talk the X's and O's of this game, he says some shit that I'm just like, huh? And he's damn well confident in it, and I want to see it work. I want to see what it does. I know for some of the things I wouldn't try, but this man is determined and tells me, look, it'll work, and I'll kick your ass. So now we have the opportunity to witness it next season as the Detroit Hawks will take the field for Mr. Alex Dar. And you have a bigger history with him, so I'm sure you're excited for him as well.
I'm very, very excited to see what he does.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to get into the last and final team. Last and final team will be owned by Mr. Mark Chisholm. I'm an effing problem, as he will bring to the International Football League the Denver Yeti. I have to say the most unique name of the list, the Yeti.
Yeah, that's interesting.
One of my more favorite designs, color schemes, logo. I have to admit, I like it.
Sorry, it's Denver, so it still sucks to me.
Oh God!
Sorry, Mark. You know I love you, but yeah, no, it's no. Sorry.
I'm sure Mark's sitting over there whispering, Ernest Biner.
I'm sure he's the drive, all the other kids, because like my own kids like to do it. They'll just out of nowhere they'll just holler, "Hey, Dad, how about that drive?"
Jesus Christ,
John Elway.
I'm gonna get the hell out of my house.
I'm glad to get the hell out.
All right, so I don't know if Maurice can hear us or not yet. I hope so. Mark loves the hate. He embraces it. So just to repeat the teams and who the owners are, I'm just going to read them off of my other list here that I wrote down for other reasons. But it's the Detroit Hawks, Alex Dar, Denver Yeti, Mark Chisholm, Nashville Nightmares, Maurice Spurgeon, Green Bay Grizzlies, Thomas Goodhart, the Chicago Assassins, the Capone Triplets, San Diego Bulldogs, Marcus Bose, the Atlanta Rhinos, DW6 Killer, Winnipeg Crusaders, Matt Soper, and the Dallas Wranglers, Mr. Charlie Monk. So that's 9 teams to join our current 7 teams of the New York Cobras, Tampa Bay Stallions, Tokyo Kitsune, Boston Liberty, Philadelphia Flight, Baltimore Bulls, and Arizona Outlaws. So what Ed and myself, along with Mr. Chris Davis, did is we tried to figure out geographically how to separate these teams, because next season we will have 4 divisions of 4, 2 conferences of 8. So here will be your divisions. And we're just going to go follow the compass of the north, south, east, west theme. And in the Northern Division, these will be the teams that will battle it out. The Winnipeg Crusaders, the Chicago Assassins, the Green Bay Grizzlies, and the Detroit Hawks. And I have to touch on it because Ed and I did find this very, very interesting. Had the issues with Allen not happened, and Matt would have been with Allen, the Carolina Pack were going to be moving to Minneapolis and becoming the Wolf Pack. This Northern Division would have been Minneapolis, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit, just like the NFC North in the NFL. But instead, we have Detroit. It's ridiculous. But instead, we got Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, and Winnipeg. All 4 expansion teams are in the North. That makes that very interesting. So it's Matt Soper, it's the Capones, it's Thomas Goodhart, and it's Alex Darr. It's too early to tell. It's really too early to really have much of an opinion. But still, all 4 of those teams are expansion teams. What's your take on that one?
Say that division's up for grabs.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's I can't wait, honestly, because you and I were talking about, we were looking at it, and both of us were like, we can't wait to see what these guys do and watch these teams battle it out, knowing that they're basically all new owners.
Yeah.
So it's
going
to be fun.
Indeed. All right, to the South Division. The South Division will be the Dallas Wranglers, the Atlanta Rhinos, the Nashville Nightmares, and the Tampa Bay Stallions. So that's the Dallas Wranglers, which will be Charlie Monk, the Atlanta Rhinos, DW6 Killer, the Nashville Nightmares, Maurice Spurgeon, and Jax Diamond, the only returning owner in this division with the Tampa Bay Stallions. So you got a Stallions team that really seemed like they finally turned that corner late in the season last year. And he'll be joined by 3 of the 9 expansion teams. Does that make him the favorite?
You'd have to say at this point, yeah. At this point, yes. Until we see how their teams break down, what they do. At this point, yeah, Tampa Bay's got to be the favorite.
Yeah, it's a interesting division. I have to say so. I mean, Maurice is no rookie at all. Monk definitely is. And Six Killer is. And that's a father and son. And that just now crossed my mind. I did not realize they were in the same division until just right now. Wow. And Ed got quiet.
I'm sending a text message to my wife.
Did you hear what I just said about the division?
Father and son?
Yeah. I mean, you got the IFL veteran and Jax. You got Maurice Spurgeon, who probably has more game experience than anyone in the division. And then a father and son combo. So, wow. Now we're going to get to the East Division. To me, the most interesting division of the league. And it'll be self-explanatory once I say there's 4 teams, because anybody who's been around last year will understand. But in the Eastern Division will be the Baltimore Bulls, the Philadelphia Flight, the Boston Liberty, and the New York Cobras. All 4 teams from last year. And we already know the trash talk between Philadelphia and New York. We know Baltimore got to the Victory Bowl. We know Boston was one of the hottest teams down the stretch. Philadelphia was just dominating midseason. New York at the start of the season looked like they were one of the team, if not the team to beat, and then just completely fell off. If all 4 of these teams come in ready, this division could be wide open.
Oh, I agree.
So, wow. 4 teams from last season. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen. 7 teams are returning. Of the 7, 4 are in one freaking division. And we mentioned in the South was the Tampa Bay Stallions. So you already know, without me saying it, the other 2 are going to be in the West. So speaking of the West, I'm going to get right to the West. And the West is going to be the Tokyo Kitsune, the defending IFL champion Arizona Outlaws. And they're going to be joined by the Denver Yeti and the San Diego Bulldogs. And you're welcome, Maurice. Maurice just mentioned how he heard the announcement of his team. And he's ever so welcome. I'm just glad to see that he's joined us and he will be an owner in this league. And in case you didn't hear it, Maurice, the IFL is dead as of today and was replaced with the IFL. Internet Football League is no more after today. It'll be the International Football League. All right. So thoughts on the West: San Diego Bulldogs, Denver Yeti, Arizona Outlaws, Tokyo Kitsune.
Well, we know what Arizona and Tokyo bring to the table.
Right.
We know what Chisholm can do. The wild card is Baby Bose.
Bose. Yeah.
Because we know what he did with Boston as far as now he's running the whole show.
Right.
Let's see what he does now.
Yeah. Big difference between running a team side of the ball to the whole team. Mighty just asked, will there be a logo update? Yeah, the logo is going to be exactly what we have. We're just changing internet to international. That's what we're going to do. So, yeah. So, yeah, like you were saying, he could be the wild card. Like I said, it's a big difference from being a coordinator to an owner. As Mr. Chisholm can tell you, he was coordinator, went into owning before. Now he's going from coordinating the Cobras to now owning the Yeti. So it's going to be crazy. So just to touch real quick on all the news we just mentioned. Internet Football League is now the International Football League. Dallas Wranglers, Charlie Monk, Winnipeg Crusaders, Matt Soper, Atlanta Rhinos, DW6 Killer, San Diego Bulldogs, Marcus Bose, Chicago Assassins, the Capone Triplets, Green Bay Grizzlies, Thomas W. Goodhart, the Nashville Nightmares, Maurice Spurgeon, Denver Yeti, Mark Chisholm, and the Detroit Hawks, Alex Darr, are the 9 teams because we went with 9 new teams due to the Carolina Pack exiting the league. And we announced the divisions: Winnipeg, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit are the North, Dallas, Atlanta, Nashville, Tampa Bay in the South, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Boston, New York in the East, San Diego, Denver, Arizona, and Tokyo in the West. One of those 16 teams will be awarded an actual legit trophy, benefits, and courtesy of Mr. TJ Johnston. He will be sending it to the winner. And again, if he wins, I wanted him to send it to himself. But he's deferred to send it to Mr. Mighty, which is cool. I just had to mess with him. And I also announced the fact that there was a trade. The Tokyo Kitsune and the New York Cobras have swapped first-round picks in the rookie draft in exchange for the New York Cobras acquiring the services of Mr. CJ Coates. So speaking of draft, we're going to get to the expansion draft. So I'm going to try and go through this quickly. What's that?
Hold on.
Yeah.
You announced the divisions. You didn't announce the conferences.
Right. Okay, yes, that's true. All right, we got the divisions announced. Now we'll announce the conferences. We went back and forth with a lot of things, went back and forth with a lot of thoughts, opinions, suggestions, this, that, and the other. So at the end of the day, we wanted to try and come up with something that was the most professional sounding. We were originally going to go red and gold. That's just not professional at all. That was then suggested, hey, what about ruby and sapphire feeding off the colors and kind of like a gem? While it sounds a lot better, we said, okay, that's not professional to what we're trying to look at. So we wanted to feed off the word international, like global and worldwide. And it's just like universal. That all sucks. So we were really stuck. So we kept thinking and kept thinking and kept thinking. So I'm going to give the credit to Mr. Chris Davis. his suggestion of the Pacific Conference and the Atlantic Conference, we just figured that's going to be the best route for us to go. So we're going to have the Atlantic Conference and the Pacific Conference, and as a result, the Atlantic Conference will be the following: the South Division of Dallas, Atlanta, Nashville, and Tampa Bay, along with the East Division of Baltimore, Philadelphia, Boston, and New York. And the Pacific Conference will be the West and the North divisions. So that'll be San Diego, Denver, Arizona, and Tokyo, along with Winnipeg, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit. And this puts 6 of the 9 new teams in the Pacific Conference. The only expansion teams in the Atlantic Conference are going to be Dallas, Atlanta, and Nashville. Does that make the Atlantic straight up, right from jump, the tougher division automatically? Yeah. Well, think about it, Mighty. You said, Mighty says, how's the North Division Pacific? And we knew that question was coming. How's the North Division Atlantic either? They really don't fit nowhere. That was the problem. Because San Diego, clearly Pacific. Arizona, Tokyo, clearly Pacific. Denver's not exactly on the Pacific, but it's closer to the Pacific. Baltimore, Philadelphia, Boston, New York are all right there on the Atlantic area. So we had to figure out, does the North go to the Atlantic or the Pacific, or does does the South? Well, Tampa Bay, Nashville, and Atlanta are right on top of the Atlantic, which meant the North by default goes to Pacific. That's pretty much how it came down, because they just didn't fit nowhere, to be honest. I'm pretty sure everybody can understand that. So that's where that goes. Mighty says the conference names need to be addressed. Hey, if somebody can come up with a real good idea, I'm all about we can fix it. Change it. Whatever. I'm sure Ed will agree with that one.
Yep.
I know Mighty's going to get his thinking cap on now. Because I just find it great that he mentioned the whole North Division. How's that Pacific? Because Ed and I said, Ed, you know this. We talked for 30 minutes saying, what the hell?
There's nowhere for it to really.
Yeah. Give me until midnight, he says. Mighty's going to be busting his mind up thinking. All right. Let me get to the expansion draft. The expansion draft.
I'll be right back. I got to.
All right.
Do some stuff for supper here, so
okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. The expansion draft rules are going to be simple. We discussed it. We talked about it. We thought about it. The expansion draft is going to be. I'm sorry about that. Getting a little cough here. All right. We thought about how many rounds it needs to be. And we went anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, really trying to think about it. Went into figuring out exactly how many free agents we could or might not have. Those things are changing, obviously, due to new owners. That's going to take some of the players off the free agent list. And again, I'm going to get to that here in a second as well. But after much deliberation, much consideration, much thought, we've decided 3 rounds is what the expansion draft is going to have. It will not snake. That's not going to happen. Whoever picks first will pick first in every single round. Whoever picks last will pick last in every single round. Whoever picks last in the expansion draft will have the very first pick in the rookie draft because it's going to flip. So in the rookie draft, whatever order the expansion draft went, turn it upside down, and they're going to go in that order in the rookie draft. So the expansion draft will be as follows. It'll be in this order, and I'll be posting all this stuff into today and into tomorrow, all this logos and trophies and divisions and conferences and drafts. But the draft order for the expansion draft will be as follows. Number 1, the Dallas Wranglers will pick first. The Winnipeg Crusaders will be second. The Atlanta Rhinos will pick third. The San Diego Bulldogs will pick fourth. The Chicago Assassins will pick fifth. The Green Bay Grizzlies will be sixth. The Nashville Nightmare will be seventh. The Denver Yeti will pick eighth. And the Detroit Hawks will pick ninth. Remember, the expansion draft will be 3 rounds, and you'll be selecting from the free agents. There will be remaining free agents. That board will change as a result of the teams being announced today. If for some reason, due to some other rules that I'm about to announce, it affects the amount of rounds, then, oh well, we might not have enough players to go around. You never know. It all depends on how things go here over the next week or two. So that's going to be the expansion draft order. That leads us to the rookie draft order, and that will be as follows. We went with the flip-flop rule that everyone has suggested. So it's going to be expansion team, current team, expansion team, a current team. And due to the Carolina Pack not being here, they're removed from the equation. That also then makes more expansion teams back-to-back. And after much talk with Ed and Mr. Davis, we agreed that the 2 teams that were in the Victory Bowl should have the last 2 picks as well. Let all the expansion teams pick above them. So that, putting that all in perspective, the rookie draft order, rather, will be the Detroit Hawks first. The New York Cobras picking second. We'll get into this in a minute. The Denver Yeti third. The Tampa Bay Stallions fourth. The Nashville Nightmares fifth. The Tokyo Kitsune sixth. The Green Bay Grizzlies seventh. The Boston Liberty eighth. Chicago Assassins ninth. Philadelphia Flight 10th. San Diego Bulldogs 11th. Atlanta Rhinos 12th. Winnipeg Crusaders 13th. Dallas Wranglers 14th. Baltimore Bulls 15th. Arizona Outlaws 16th. Now to go back to the Cobras, who have the number 2 pick. As of this broadcast, they have traded the number 2 pick to the Tokyo Kitsune for their 6th pick and cornerback CJ Coates. So now the New York Cobras will be 6th. The Tokyo Kitsune will now be picking 2nd overall. Owners that were just announced, I'll be adding you to the Rookie Apps channel. On the Rookie Apps channel is where I'm posting all the rookies that are coming into the league, who their players are, their Slack channel name, so you can reach out to them, and what have you. Current players, Ed and I really discussed this, and I want to get some feedback in the chat room before we make a decision on this. So anybody who's in the chat room, please just say 1, 2, whatever you want to say. But there's a discussion of how many players you can retire. Should we allow you to retire 1 player or 2 players this season? Due to an announcement I need to make for myself, I'm okay with guys retiring both now after I thought about it. But it'd be a one-time thing if we pass it. I would say after this season, it's only going to be 1 guy. Since you're allowed to have 2 players, I don't know if Ed's back or not. But if he is, I'd like for him to touch on that. So I don't know, Ed, are you there, or are you still figuring out your dinner situation? Ed's still gathering dinners and his spices and his ingredients. Okay, Cody says he's cool with them being able to retire both. Just to mention the reason why both was going to be an issue. We knew some teams last season took advantage of the rule of you could create your own players. And as a result of being able to create your own players, some guys avoided drafting certain players who were real in favor of creating their own fake players to fit their own scheme. We're avoiding that this year because all the quote-unquote man-made players that are not legit players by humans, they're going to be made by the staff and just thrown into the draft. And I don't know. It sounded like Ed just returned.
Yep, I'm here.
But I'm talking about the rule where we're going to figure out the amount of, everybody has 1 or 2 players. If they can retire just 1 or just retire 2. Cody's good with both. Maurice is good with both. Mark Chisholm's okay with both. You and I discussed it. We kind of wanted the 1 rule because I was just mentioning the whole teams creating players on their own, getting to use the system. They found the loophole, which I'm cool with it. If you can find a way to win, go do it. I'm okay with guys retiring both players this season only, but I do want to pass a rule. And again, this is going to have to go through the owners and then through the league itself. But I would love to put that back down to 1 after this season if we allow them to do 2 this year. But I need your honest opinions on the whole 1-2 thing.
I think I agree. I think it should be if they want to get rid of both of them this year, that's fine. But after that, it goes to 1.
Fair enough. So there we go. We'll pass that rule. The heck with it. It seems like it's overwhelming anyway. Most of the people I talked to privately anyway, they were cool with the 2. So guys can retire too. So since 2 players are allowed to retire, effective right now, David Lee, strong safety of the Tokyo Kitsune, and Doug Bose, running back of the Arizona Outlaws, are both retired. They were both my players. I'm retiring my players from the league. I feel as if I should have thought about it before the season started. I don't think I, as the chief operating officer, if you will, of this league, so to speak, should be having players on a team. So that's done. I will not have players in the league any further. And that's that.
There you
go. And I do want to touch on something I've just been asked by the USA Today. Yeah, I'm playing along here. Why the league just decided to go from IFL to IFL. And I say this, like my ex-wife, we felt the league needed a major facelift. Unlike my ex-wife, we got one. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Maurice just said he was ridiculous. My running back was ridiculous. It was unreal at times. Yeah. And if you listen to the broadcast of the Victory Bowl, you can hear my disgust, my dismay, my displeasure. I didn't like it. I was against it. It just bothered me. Well, I just made sure that don't happen anymore. So that's done. He's retired. I shot him and I buried him. He's gone.
Okay. Well, since you went, since you made the announcement about your players, make an announcement here for everybody else.
Okay.
My son has decided.
Which son?
This is Dwayne. He has quarterback Dwayne Ritter and cornerback Joe Starr has finally decided that he wants to play for whoever drafts him if he's drafted. And he wants to play for them for a couple years and then maybe come to Boston and play for Daddy's team. But right now he wants to go somewhere else. So his 2 players will be available in the draft. So you guys like what you saw this year, his 2 players, and
right.
Feel free. I can't even talk. Feel free to go ahead and draft him.
Right. And since we're talking about drafting players and players moving this, that, and the other, real simple. The players who just got teams, their players will now be joining them in their teams. So, just to touch on some stuff real quick. Charlie Monk, he only had 1 player, his corner. He can now create an offensive player if he so desired of his choosing to have 2 players to be in the Dallas Wranglers. The Capone triplets, as far as I know, they only had their 3 defensive players. They could all create their own offensive player too if they wanted. So now they're all going to move to Chicago. Maurice, he had Maurice Spurgeon, the free safety. He had Kareem Wilcox, the running back. Those 2 players will move to Nashville if he decides to not retire them. DW6 Killer also had Champ Revis. That was his 2nd player. Those guys now get to move to his team. The list goes on. So any player who just got a team, if he has players, they now belong to his team. They will be on that team unless they retire them. So that also brings me to this. We're in no rush to get the league moving, but we're also in the process of trying to get through the steps to get the league moving. I talked about this in some depth with Chris Davis the other night. Maurice is retiring his free safety. He said he's too short to make play. But we discussed how long it's going to take to us to get into season 2. I would love to just start season 2 tomorrow, but that's impossible because it's going to take time to build the rosters, get the drafts done, get the hex editor done. Everything, all that's got to fall into place. And I know about how long it's going to take to do those things. And if we take too long to do other steps, hell, we might not be doing a league till freaking March. That's not part of my plan. I'd love to let everybody enjoy the holidays. Enjoy Halloween if that's your thing. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Christmas. I want people to be able to do those things. My goal, honestly, is to try and get this season started as early as possible in January. That's the goal. That's when I want to get everything rocking and rolling. If for somehow maybe we can get it going sooner and people are good with it, even though there's holidays, maybe we'll do it. I don't want to get the holidays in the way. I want people to be able to enjoy time with their families and not worry about if they should run a 3-3-5 or the 3-3 this or the 4-3 or the 3-4 to stop somebody. I want them to worry about what's under the Christmas tree and if they got the right present or not, if it's being returned. So I mean, that's all part of my goals and my agendas. But to get the process moving along so we can build teams, get drafts going, get things organized. Again, teams who just got announced, you've got yourself your players. Ed said it today, and I'm going to let Ed have what he said. He wants to give every team in the league, not just the expansion teams. This goes now for all 16 teams as of right now. I don't want no announcements in chat rooms. I don't want no announcements on Slack. I want it sent to me because we're going to do a show. We're going to do a podcast next week. Next Friday is the plan. For something happens, we can't do it next Friday, we'll make the change. But we're giving you 1 week from today. So we're just going to say 12 noon Friday next week, 12 Eastern. All teams, I'm going to make this announcement also in Slack, have to contact me via a private message, any and all coach hirings. If you have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, message me in private on Slack that this is now your coach. He or she will be doing such and such with your team because those players will also be joining your team. I know one announcement that was kind of made. Didn't know if it still happened. And again, we're not even going to care to talk about it in the chat room. But there was a mention of maybe Cody Ewing was joining Philadelphia during the season. Let's just assume that's still happening. Cody Ewing has Sean Taylor, a free safety, and King Cannon, a quarterback. If he indeed takes a position with Philadelphia, those two players would move to Philadelphia if he wishes to maintain those players, which affects the free agent draft. Like I said, those guys are expansion draft because it's going to be the free agents. So that's where some of our free agents are going to come off the board and be moved to teams. Then I need to be able to put together the official free agency board to present to these expansion teams for the draft. I hope I explained that right. What do you think, Ed?
Yep.
Maurice asks, will there be ability changes for second-year players? One of the things we wanted to do when we created this league, and again, I'm down for anything to be discussed, so this can clearly be something we discuss. Was not part of my agenda, was not part of what I wanted to do, because what we did was when you entered the league, you pick 6 abilities that define your player. And then you get to play at the quote-unquote 4 different tiers that we provided: gold, silver, copper, and bronze. I said bronze after copper. That was weird. Bronze, copper. Owners then get to select from your selection of 6 abilities to place on your player and what they were going to use. So if you have 6 abilities and you went to one team and had 3 used and become a free agent and go to a new team, that new team could completely pick the other 3. Wow. Okay. The thought of changing abilities kind of goes against that whole purpose. But like I said, if the new owners, the current owners, the people in the league as a whole can come up with a reason why or how or what we should do and how that would benefit us, I'm open to it. But it wasn't part of the plan. I think that makes sense. What do you think, Ed? Did I explain that right?
Exactly how we wanted to do it. Because, like we said, what do we always preach? We preach realism. Mm-hmm. Guys' abilities don't change from year to year.
Right.
What they're good at, until later on when they might lose a step or they can't do something as good as they once want, but they still do the same thing.
Right. Or get with a coach. And this is my thought by you only get to use X amount with one team, maybe move and get to use other ones. The ability was there, but a new coach can channel that ability that you didn't know you had. And now it shows.
Right.
So, I mean, your abilities are your abilities. You get to coach up your abilities. And the right coach can bring the right ability out in a guy. You know, I mean, you can take any running back in the league, and we'll discuss the whole battering ram thing, which is ridiculous. But you can take 5 guys and say all 5 guys got battering ram, and only one's good at it because the other 4 don't know how to use it, don't know how to channel it, and they don't have a coach to coach it up. In the case of the IFL, it would just mean the team wasn't using it, or they used it and they just didn't know how to actually make it effective on the field. But the next guy picks it as an actual ability, and now it shows up, or he still uses it that the other guy was using it, but now he knows how to make it work by picking the right plays. So
exactly,
that's kind of the whole 6 ability rule concept, this, that, and the other. Yeah, owners, I'm gonna, like I said, new owners, I'm adding you to the owners channel as well. We have an owners channel, we call it the owners meetings or whatever. We're putting together an agenda of things that we need to address. That's gonna basically go up for vote.
We need to address something then.
Okay.
That I'm sitting here thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these guys are going to, a lot of guys essentially going to retire their players and create new ones.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect all the age thing? Remember, because we're trying to do the age. So that's something else we got to talk about.
Okay, repeat that and make sure I'm understanding it correctly.
Do these guys, since they retired these players, their new players start again? Is that how we're going to do that? Whatever they create will start at the youngest age, and then we'll go from there? Yeah,
all new players will be right to the youngest age that we have started on the list, and the guys who are returning, they'll now be a year older. Now, we never did straight up set a rule to where guys age X amount and they start to deteriorate. We never did do that. What we did was just guy can only be in the league for so long because guys ain't going to freaking play forever. So that was one rule we did put in place. But we never did address the possibility of a guy completely aging.
Yes, we got to figure out how we're going to do that.
So, yeah, I mean, that's something we can bring to the table. Like I said, I have an agenda of questions, rules, thoughts, this, that, and the other that I want to bring up to the current owners, new owners, and let them vote what they want to do. It's going to be presented also to the league as a whole because guys need to make a decision on things. Because, again, to me, you don't have to be an owner to make a decision here. Everybody's equally involved. Other teams just have the honor and the prestige of having their own team. Doesn't make them any better than anybody else. So.
I'm going to answer Mighty's question there. He said there should be a base abilities that a player had from beginning of career till the end. The 6 abilities that you pick for your player, that goes with him everywhere he goes.
Right.
That is what we decided. So so if you keep your player that you had this year, this coming, he has all those 6 abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was the purpose of those abilities. They followed the player wherever he went.
Right. All righty.
Yeah,
but if he goes to a new team, then I guess, the new owner could pick any of the 6, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, if a guy loses his contract, gets cut, becomes a free agent, and he moves to a new team, the abilities he had the previous season are null and void, so to speak, and the new owner can do whatever the hell he wants. As long as he picks from that list.
But he has to pick from those 6 that he had.
Right.
That's what I thought that's what we agreed upon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why when we had people sign up and we filled out the application and it says pick 6 abilities, that is now your guys' abilities.
Right.
So now, like we said, any owner that you play for can use whatever, but it's got to use some of those 6.
Right. Yeah, because like I said, when you look at a player when he comes out of the draft, or at least for me, and like I said, something I've always prided myself in, that's knowing a player's skills, a player's abilities, this, that, and the other. I don't know why I do it because I don't get paid for it. It's just something I've always found fascinating. And I've been pretty good at it. Ed can confirm this. Their abilities.
I can't confirm nothing.
Yeah, their abilities are their abilities. And like I said, it's just a matter if they get in the right team with the right system. How many times has a guy been with Team A and he's just goes to Team B and he lights it up? How many times has a guy been with Team A and he is the man, moves to Team B and he sucks? How many times has a guy come into the league and he sucks and he just sucks his whole career? Well, when you transfer that into the IFL, that's where the abilities come in. You got to hope you get with an owner who knows how to pick the right abilities from your list, because let's face it, some guys don't pick the right abilities for their player. They pick an ability that don't work for that particular position, or it works, it's just not as effective. You know, the list is endless of what we can discuss. But if you transfer this game that we're playing, this hobby, and you put it in terms of realism, it's pretty easy to fill in the blanks and, you know, figure out how things are equal to what we're talking about when we talk realism. And I do want to mention this real quick, completely off the topic, so don't forget. If all goes well, I'm planning on doing it at 7 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to fire up the laptop, and I'm going to go have a live feed here on this channel. I'm going to crank on the All-Pro football game, and I have my USB cards ready. I'm going to display and show everybody the expansion teams. I'm going to show you what they look like. I'm going to show you their colors, their logos, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the teams up, and I'm going to let them play on the field for a few minutes, just so you can see. They're going to have the basic generic builds. Just hit the start button, let them randomly select NFL legends. But this is just to let you look at the uniforms. So we're going to show all 9 teams. I got all 8 on one disc, I believe, and I have 1 on the other disc. So unfortunately for Mr. Charlie Monk, he's on a USB chip all by himself with the Dallas Wranglers, so I'll probably just do his first. And I believe I can do it. Maybe I'm crazy. Somebody who's played the game longer than me, maybe they can correct me if I'm right or wrong, but I believe a team can play itself. And if a team can play itself, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let them play each other. So Dallas will play Dallas. Nashville will play Nashville. So you can see the home and the away jerseys at one shot. And I'm going to let them all play for a minute, whatever it may be, just so you can see the uniforms. And I'm going to shut it down, then go back in and select another team and do the same process, just where you can see all 9 teams and their uniforms, what they've gone with, what they're going to look like. So you have an idea, you know, just an early advancement of what these teams are looking like. So I think that should be cool. What do you think, Ed?
I agree.
I see Marissa.
Awesome.
Marisa saying yes. So, like I said, I got to type up all these announcements and stuff on the channel, on Slack, which I'll probably be getting to once I get my kids off the bus in about 25 minutes. So I got about 10 minutes that I can use here yet on the air. So if anyone's got any questions in the chat, Ed, if you have anything to mention that I didn't mention or something we need to really touch on again, let's get to it.
No, I think covered international, covered the teams. We went to the divisions, conferences. You covered the trophy. Yeah, talked about the trophy. You covered the drafts.
The trade.
The
retirement.
Which I can announce this because he did post it in the chat. David Cox is being retired.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know. I think that's about. I think we covered.
Right. So yeah.
We covered everything.
And I'll touch on it again. I need all current teams, all teams, not current, all teams. So we have 16 teams now. I need all 16 teams to confirm with me by 12 o'clock Friday of next week to let everybody know the exact date, because I know some of you are not good. It'll be 12 p.m. Eastern, Friday the 22nd, if you are hiring any coaches. I know it might sound rude to only give you a week, but there's a lot of stuff I got to do. I don't have the benefit of a big, giant staff helping me. I pretty much do a lot of this on my own. Ed can only do so much because, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, Ed doesn't even have the system to play the game through the editor. He has the PlayStation version.
Yep.
Davis is one of the streamers for the league. It's not like I put a lot on his plate, so a majority of it's on my plate. I have a lot of work that I got to do, and I'm trying to get most of it done before the holidays get here for myself. That's pretty much what I'm going for. What I would like to do, like I said, I'd like to have all 16 teams full of talent before Thanksgiving. That's the plan. This way, owners then have, through the holidays at their leisure, to work on their team's playbooks, their team's everything, because they're already drafted everybody in place, got their players set up, and this, that, and the other. So to me, that gives them a huge benefit, gives them time to work on their team. So completely off topic again, I want to mention the name Jonathan Taylor, freshman running back, Wisconsin. I think he's going to be the next big thing. Anyway, that's why I want to do it the way I want to do it. That's how I want to set this all up.
We just had a question posted in the chat.
Okay. What was the question? Is there going to be an all-star game?
Jason wants to know. I'd have to say no.
As of right now, no. There will not be an all-star game. I'd like to. I feel that it's unfair to do a real all-star game because I failed the league in keeping stats up to date. Next season, we discuss stats, and we pretty much want to do this. If you got a team, you're responsible for your team stats. Because I'd like to do an all-star game next season for sure. And if an owner, a staff member from that team is not contributing for its personal team, I feel there's no reason for us to have to vote for their players. So if a player on a team feels that's wrong, then they could step up and represent the team and be the supplier of the stats for the said team. And this is until we can put together a big staff. If I can get some staffers together and say, hey, look, I can cover 4 teams. Don't worry about it. I can cover 4. Don't worry. I can do all 16, whatever it might be. That'll help. But as of right now, owners are going to be supplying the stats for their own team and updating them each week and sending them to me so I can get them updated myself. And so all I got to do is take their stats this week, add them to the previous week's stats, and present them to me. Simple. It's cake. It's easy. So let's see. Marie says he likes that and he loves working stats and looking them up. Yeah, I'm addicted to stats too. But to touch on an all-star game for
I'll throw this out there then.
Mm-hmm.
I got the East. Since I am co-owner of Boston, I will do the entire East Division when it comes to stats. So you have one division taken care of.
Okay. See if I can get a couple other people to step up and claim a whole division. Then we'll have the whole thing taken care of. Yeah. So we'll get into that. I don't expect everybody to step up. Me. We have time. I can mention that too. So I said I got a lot of things to announce and to type up on Slack here, which I'll be getting to. Got to go in here and edit things and change things. And wow. Davis, it shows Internet Football League on this account. I forget how to do it. So if you know how to do it and can edit it to make it say international, please do. And then I can edit the logo because I forget how to do that. And if not, maybe we'll just leave it at internet and just the hell with it. But I know it can be edited. Told TJ that the scoreboard would have to be changed too. The scoreboard? I'm confused. Davis, if you can elaborate on that. What scoreboard? I'm confused.
When he...
Yeah. Dude, that's another thing I want to learn.
when he does
yeah.
the games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would it need to be changed?
Yeah. Because it says internet.
Yeah, it'll have to change to international. Yep.
Yeah. I should be able to edit that myself, to be honest. I just got to hope that comes out clean. And speaking of that ticker, I'd love to be able to figure out this capture card myself to get that overlay on there myself. So Davis and I will probably have to have Chris Davis teach the ticker class for me here in the off season, and I can figure out how to do it myself. We'll get into all that. Nothing to discuss here on the air. But like I said, we got 9 new owners. All those owners now are getting their players on their teams. So if they're free agents, they're now off the expansion draft board. If they are on current teams, those teams have now lost those players. And I did forget to mention this. Those teams will be given a compensatory pick in the draft to replace this player. So if, let's just say the rookie draft is 3 rounds, that means 3 picks. But if you lost, say, 3 players, you're going to get 3 new draft picks. All the compensatory picks will be put in the last round. We were discussing what round they should be in, what they shouldn't be in. They're just going to be all in the last round. And they will come in order of where you finished in season 1. So, sake of argument.
No, I told her no because we didn't send any paperwork in. I don't know what we had to do. So, all right, just come in the house. All right, bye.
I have no idea what that was. So let's just say Tampa Bay gets a compensatory pick, and Philadelphia gets a compensatory pick. Yeah, I'm talking about the compensatory picks. Forgot to mention it. How they're all going to be in the last round. So let's just say Tampa Bay got 1, Philadelphia got 1, and Baltimore gets 1. Let's just use those are the only 3, which there's going to be more than that. The 3 teams, the way they finished, Tampa Bay had the worst record, then it was Philadelphia, then it was Baltimore. So Tampa Bay's pick and compensatory will be first. If they have 2 of them, they'll have 1. Then the other 2 teams would pick. Then they'd get their next one. It could just kind of like a second round of compensatory picks, so to speak, but it'd still be at the end of that round. I hope that explains it. And that's pretty much how it's going to work with everybody. So if all 7 teams have 1, then it'll just be in the exact order from worst finish to best finish. And then if anybody has 2, it'll be the same order, just following the first set of picks. So we're just going to continue to do that process till all compensatory picks are made. You don't have to pick if your roster's full, obviously.
Refresh my memory. Mm-hmm. Why are they getting these picks?
To replace players that are on their team that are under contract.
Okay.
You know, like I said, there was a discussion that Cody could be leaving New York, he's under contract for 3 seasons. New York has him penciled in as their starter for 3 seasons. There's 2 years remaining on his contract. But if he accepts a job, say with Philadelphia, which was the rumor, now New York doesn't have a player they had penciled in as their player for 2 more seasons. They lost him. Unfair to them just to have their players ripped out from underneath them, because we do have the you play for who you coach for rule. We make that rule. We force that rule on the teams, so the other teams shouldn't be punished per our rule. So they get a compensatory pick to replace said loss. They're getting their automatic picks via the draft. Then they get compensatory picks in the draft to replace these players. Thing is, they might not need them, because there's going to be a free agent signing period. There's going to be the draft period. There's all these other things that are going on. You might not need compensatory picks. And that's where the owners' meetings are going to come into place. What order do we do some of these things? I currently have 9 things I want to bring up to the league, to see their thoughts. Ones that have been discussed in the open. The 3rd gold idea. Wow. The diamond in the rough idea, tier swapping. There's all kinds of things that are going to be discussed. So the battering ram was discussed. Does it get banned or not? So a couple things I need to discuss with people, and we're going to get into those things. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any final thoughts here, Ed. Oh, he's dealing with home stuff. Alex is back. So hello to Alex as we get ready to wrap this podcast up. Remember, 7 o'clock tonight, I'll be revealing the uniforms of the 9 new teams. Like I said, I think I can let a team play itself. If it can, then that's what I'm going to do. So you can see the home. in the away jersey. I'm actually going to fire my system up now and double check that to make sure I'm not freaking nuts. But I think Ed's back. I keep hearing the microphone. Ed, as we're here in the final seconds, do you have any more final thoughts?
Yes, I'm about to become a drunk, just so everybody knows.
Ed's about to become a drunk, ladies and gentlemen. He will be the first-round pick of the Chicago Assassins at this rate.
I'm telling you. My kids are going to cause me to drink and drink a lot. But no, other than that, I think we covered everything. I think we're on the right track to getting season 2 underway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Yeah, now we just gotta wait and see. Like if anybody hires anybody, what guys are going to retire their players, who's not going to retire their players, all that good stuff.
Right. To the new owners, I've sent you all an invite to join the owner meeting page. That is not really a page for a lot of discussion. That's pretty much a page that we're going to be using to address things. That's not where you go on and say, hey, guys, hi, and shit like that. You go in there and we talk business. There hasn't been much business discussed, just some random thoughts for the upcoming season to be put on opinions to put on the agenda for, how shall we call it, owner meeting vote. Again, I'm going to tell you this too. We could pass a vote in the owners meeting. It could be unanimous, 16-0. Then I'm going to present it to the league to make sure they like it as a whole. If the league doesn't like it and they want to try and shut it down, they possibly could with enough support. But the one thing I do like about this league is I think everybody trusts everybody, and I really think the players will trust these owners to make the right decision and not fight much. I really do believe that. So, and yes, I can let a team play itself. So I'm going to let all 9 teams play themselves on the game. And then you can see the home jerseys and the away jerseys. I'll let each team play against each other for maybe a minute or 2, possibly up as many as 3, shut it down, go into the next game. So, yeah, and then you have an idea of what the teams are going to look like. Some of them are sharp. Some of them are different. Some are unique. There's really not any that I hate. There's a few I like more than others. So, instead of rambling on and stuttering and stuff, everybody who showed up today, I appreciate your love and being here. I know it's during the day, and you might not catch the show live, and you might catch the
I had a question for you.
Okay.
Real quick before we get off here.
All right.
How are we going to handle my team as far as there's 2 of us because we're co-owners? How do you want to do that?
As far as what exactly?
As far as like the owners page and the other stuff, do we get 1 vote and that's it? And
yeah,
each team. How do you want to do all that?
Each team is going to get 1 vote. So it's like the team vote. So you and Bo would have to discuss whatever it is you need to discuss. When something comes down that might need to be voted on, and make a decision together.
Because I am not a part of the owners page right now. I know Bo is. So I didn't know how we were going to do that.
Yeah. I need to get you added over there anyway, since you are a co-owner. Because you need to be a part of that as well. So I'm going to send you that invite right now. That's a good point. Cool. That invite's been sent. But yes, the team gets a vote. Because if a team can have more than 1 vote, that's one way to definitely manipulate a voting system. So you get your vote as a team, and there you go.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, so that invite was sent to you. You can get in there.
All right.
And then there we go. What the hell? Jesus Christ. What the hell? Okay, cool. I was responding to a message. So yeah, we'll go through the owners meetings, and I'm going to be honest, owners meetings could take place any second of any day.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I kind of want to let the teams find their staff, because let's be honest, I could try and say, what about such and such a rule? And you might want to discuss said rule with your coordinator. because maybe they don't want that rule in place because it could affect their plans for their team.
Right.
So, I don't want to say, oh, what do we want to do with battering ram? And then you hire a coordinator, and that was his whole goal, to utilize that battering ram and take advantage of it. Now it's banned, and now you can't do it. So you get a week to find your coaches. That sounds like I'm putting you up to the gun, but hell, I have a lot of work to do, and I need as many days and weeks as I can to put everything together. So if you ain't
not really a week's really not.
Well, I know a lot of these guys have already been discussing the things with people prior to this anyway, because they had this hunch they were getting a team. So most of these guys, I think, have already been working on it. So, and speaking of your team with Bo has players, you have players. Obviously, all those players go to that team.
Yep.
So I plan on putting that all together here today, hopefully, and into tomorrow since I'm off tonight. The update of rosters. I did post a kind of roster page earlier this week, so I'm going to be updating that now with these adjustments, the movements, the trades, and what have you. I'll be putting up the draft orders as well. And new owners, you can trade draft picks. You can't trade your expansion stuff. You're stuck with your expansion picks. You can't say, I'll give you this expansion pick. No, that's not how it works. Expansion picks are locked in. Draft picks can now be traded for players. The Detroit Hawks have the first pick in the rookie draft. He could trade that pick right now if he wants for anything. Within, he can't trade it for a hooker or anything, but he can trade it for another draft pick or a player.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah. So,
look what I traded it for.
Look, Mom. I'm going to own the Disney World. But anyway, they can trade. They can do that. Like I said, Alex Starr has that pick. If he wants to trade that pick right now to a team for a player and or players under contract, he can pull that off right now if he wants. Players don't have control of their contract as far as trades. They have control whether or not they sign with someone as a free agent. So, and we might not actually have a free agency signing after rookies are signed and free agents are picked up and coaching and all that other good stuff. So, but yeah, we can get in another podcast going. And then remember, tonight I'm doing one anyway where I'm going to reveal uniforms at 7 o'clock. So, Ed, if you ain't got any final thoughts, I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to go pick the kids up. And I'm coming home from the bus here within the next 10 minutes. So, I want to thank everybody who's been here. I'll be posting a lot of this on Slack here in a little while. I'm going to get the kids home, feed them dinner, do that good stuff, and then I'll get to posting some of the information. So, Ed, any more thoughts?
Just good luck to everybody getting everything settled.
Right, indeed. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Ed Ritter for the International Football League. This has been Inside the IFL. We're going to catch your ass down the road. 7 o'clock tonight will be that time. Eastern. Later.